The signal from the void. The horizon drifted silently through the Veil Nebula, its sleek form barely visible against the backdrop of cosmic dust and dying stars. Aboard the research vessel, Valera Nix stood before the holographic display, her silver eyes reflecting data streams as they cascaded across the projection. 43 years as a xenoarchaeologist had taught her patience, but this discovery had her heart racing like a cadet on first deployment. "Tell me again what we're looking at, Doctor." Captain Jorah Tellis moved beside her, the weathered Centaurian's forearms crossed in a posture of cautious interest. His scaled skin caught the blue light of the display, creating shadows that made him appear even more imposing. "A signal, Captain, ancient by any standard. It's been repeating for..." Valera paused, double-checking her calculations, approximately 40,000 years. "Impossible," came the immediate response from Jen, the ship's physicist. The Arcturian's tendrils quivered with skepticism. No transmission could maintain integrity for that duration. Valera gestured at the display. "This one has. It's using quantum entanglement as an anchor. Whoever sent this understood physics beyond our current grasp." The bridge fell silent. Everyone knew what this meant. Only one species in recorded history had mastered quantum communication before vanishing from the galaxy: humans. Humans were mythology now, whispers and legends among the stars. The species that had reached for the heavens, touched dozens of worlds, and then disappeared in what scholars called the silence. No ruins, no remnants, just the occasional artifact that defied explanation and confounded the greatest minds of the council races. Captain Tellis studied the readout with his primary eyes, while his secondary pair remained fixed on the viewport showing the dead sector ahead. "What does it say?" he finally asked. Valera took a deep breath. "It's still being deciphered, but the opening phrase is clear enough. This is Earth. Listen carefully. We are gone, but our warning remains." The communications officer, a young Solarian named Elian, looked up from his station. "That's not the only strange thing, Captain. The signal's point of origin is the Erebus system. It's been quarantined for 20,000 years. There's nothing there but a dead star and shattered planets." "Correction," said the ship's eye in its melodious voice. "Historical records indicate the Erebus system was the location of a human colony world called Terminus. The quarantine was established after scout ships reported temporal anomalies and disappeared." Captain Tellis' mandibles clicked in agitation. "So we're receiving a 40,000-year-old message from a dead system where ships vanish. Comforting." "We should alert the Galactic Council," suggested Commander Vax, the security chief. The Regellian's carapace gleamed under the lights as she shifted uncomfortably. "And tell them what?" Valera challenged. "That we found evidence humans weren't just legends, that their final message is still broadcasting. The Council would lock this information away like they do with every significant discovery." The captain considered this, all four eyes blinking in sequence as he processed. "We're the closest research vessel. Council protocol gives us authority to investigate signals of potential historical significance." He paused, then added, "But I won't order anyone into that system. The horizon will maintain position at a safe distance. I need volunteers for a probe expedition." Valera stepped forward immediately. "I studied human artifacts for my entire career, Captain. I need to be there." One by one, others joined. Elian, the communications specialist, Dr. Jen, the physicist, and surprisingly, Commander Vax herself. "Very well," the captain conceded. "You have 48 hours to prepare. The scout ship leaves at 600. The next 2 days passed in a flurry of preparation. Valera spent hours in her lab, surrounded by the few confirmed human artifacts ever recovered. A fragment of printed material called book, a device speculated to be a personal communication tool, and most precious of all, a small rectangular object containing thousands of musical compositions. These relics had shaped her career, fueled her fascination with the vanished species. As she worked, the signal continued to decrypt itself in segments across her screens. Phrases appeared, haunting in their clarity. We reached too far. The transcendence was not what we believed. Beware the spaces between stars. They wait still, guarding what remains. The language was ancient Earth standard, but the meanings remained elusive. What was this transcendence? Who waited in the darkness? What had happened to humanity? The scout ship Pathfinder was prepped and ready when the designated team assembled in the launch bay. Captain Tellis was there to see them off, his posture rigid with concern. Standard protocol, he reminded them. Any sign of danger, you return immediately. The Horizon will maintain position for 72 hours. After that, we regroup at Outpost Vega. Commander Vax nodded sharply. Understood, Captain. The journey to the Erebus system took 6 hours. As they approached the boundary of the quarantine zone, the Pathfinder sensors began registering anomalies. Temporal fluctuations, Dr. Jen announced, tendrils working rapidly over his instruments. Local spacetime is rippling. On screen, ordered Commander Vax. The view screen activated, showing the dead star ahead. What should have been simply a dim stellar remnant was instead surrounded by shifting veils of light, like aurora, but impossibly vast, stretching across the void. Those aren't natural, Elian whispered. They're structured. Look at the patterns. He was right. The lights pulsed in sequences, forming and reforming in what could only be a language of symbols. It's responding to us, Valara realized with sudden clarity. The signal, it wasn't just broadcasting. It was waiting. The ship's systems flickered, then stabilized. A new message appeared on Valara's terminal, separate from the ongoing decryption. A Pruroch ID HFY. Research vessel HFY in der. Os hupientis. Nilon humane scientientis. 4. QUERY. Do you see the ARCAIV? By slashin. Valara looked at the others, her silver eyes wide. It's asking us a question. This is impossible, Dr. Jen muttered. An automated system cannot maintain functionality for 40,000 years, let alone adapt to interact with unknown visitors. Commander Vax's hand moved to her weapon. We should retreat. Now. Wait, Valara urged. This is what we came for. A chance to understand. Her fingers hovered over the interface, then decisively pressed. Why? The response was immediate. Authorization ACC IPTED. HFY stabilizing. Full elodu VHE markers. The aurora-like patterns ahead coalesced into a narrow corridor of stable space, leading toward the third planet. A shattered world, broken into fragments still orbiting where it once existed whole. That's impossible, Dr. Jun repeated, but with less conviction. Commander. Elian looked to Vax, awaiting orders. The Rigelian security chief stood rigid, conflicted between protocol and discovery. Finally, she nodded once. Proceed. Minimum speed. Be prepared to reverse course at my command. The Pathfinder edged forward into the corridor of light. The moment they crossed the boundary, the ship's chronometers began behaving erratically, moving forward, then backward, then stopping altogether. We've entered a temporal bubble, Dr. Jen announced, a note of wonder breaking through his scientific detachment. Time outside this corridor may be passing differently. Can we communicate with the horizon? Vax demanded. Elian shook his head. No response on any channel. We're effectively isolated. The journey through the corridor took 20 minutes by the ship's faltering time measurement. They emerged into orbit around the shattered planet, or rather, within a cloud of planetary fragments. At the center hovered a structure, not a natural formation, but something constructed. It gleamed with the same shifting lights that had formed their pathway. Valara, Elian called, voice tight. The signal decryption, it's complete. They gathered around his station as the final message from Earth resolved itself. This is Earth. Listen carefully. We are gone, But our warning remains. 40,000 years ago, humanity achieved what we call the transcendence, evolution beyond physical form. Most chose to ascend, to become beings of pure consciousness. Those who remained behind were few, and we watched as our civilization fell silent, star by star. But the transcendence had consequences unforeseen. In reaching beyond the physical, humanity touched something that was waiting, something ancient. The guardians of the void, we named them, though they have existed since before stars burned. They do not destroy, they preserve, and now they preserve us, suspended between existence and oblivion. This archive contains all that remains of human knowledge, art, history, and consciousness. It waits for worthy inheritors. If you seek wisdom, approach with respect. If you seek power, turn back now. The guardians tolerate visitors, but they do not forgive intrusion. I am the last human in physical form. My name no longer matters. When this message ends, I too will join the archive. Remember us not for what we became, but for what we dreamed of becoming. End transmission. Silence fell over the bridge, heavy with the weight of ages. Valera felt tears on her cheeks, though she hadn't realized she was crying. The archive, she whispered. It's there. She pointed at the structure ahead. Not just data or records, but consciousness. They preserved themselves, or something preserved them, Commander Vax corrected grimly. These guardians sound like jailers, not protectors. We can't know without investigating further, Valera argued. Dr. Zhen's instruments beeped urgently. The structure is scanning us. I'm detecting energy patterns consistent with the quantum entanglement used in the signal. Before anyone could respond, a new message appeared across all their screens. Visitores ACKNLBLEGG'd. AEARCHIVAAD WATs. 8P Puro Chage or DEPART. The choice is yours. Valera looked at her companions, seeing her own mix of fear and wonder reflected in their alien faces. We've come too far to turn back now, she said softly. Commander Vax stood, her decision made. Prepare the shuttle. We're going to see this archive for ourselves. As the Pathfinder moved closer to the massive structure, Valera couldn't shake the feeling that they stood at the threshold of something that would forever change their understanding of the galaxy's history, and perhaps its future. What waited within the archive wasn't just humanity's legacy. It was humanity itself, preserved in a state between existence and transcendence for 40,000 years. And something else waited with them. The mysterious guardians, entities old enough to have witnessed the birth of stars. The expedition had sought a signal. They had found so much more. The legacy of humanity. The shuttle detached from the Pathfinder with a gentle hiss, the small craft dwarfed by the ancient structure looming before them. From this distance, the archive revealed itself as a massive geometric construct, a dodecahedron with each face adorned in shifting patterns of light and darkness that seemed to pulse with internal rhythm. It's beautiful, Elian murmured as he guided the shuttle forward, like nothing I've ever seen. Beauty can be deadly, Commander Vax reminded him, but even the security chief couldn't disguise the awe in her voice. Dr. Zhen's instruments flickered continuously as he attempted to analyze the structure. The outer shell appears to be composed of a crystalline material unknown to our databases. It's generating the temporal field we passed through. But what powers it? His tendrils danced across the controls. Impossible. It's drawing energy directly from the quantum fabric of spacetime. Valera barely heard them. Her attention was fixed on one of the dodecahedron's faces, which was now opening like an iris, revealing a docking bay illuminated by soft blue light. We're being invited in, she said. The shuttle passed through the opening, which sealed seamlessly behind them. They landed in a vast chamber that defied the apparent exterior dimensions of the structure. Above them stretched what looked like an inverted tower, extending upward through countless levels, each glowing with the same ethereal light. Spatial manipulation, Dr. Zhen breathed. It's bigger inside, significantly bigger. They donned their environmental suits as a precaution. Those sensors indicated the atmosphere was breathable, a perfect recreation of Earth standard conditions according to historical records. The gravity, too, was calibrated to what humans would have considered normal. As they stepped onto the archives deck, lights activated along the floor, creating a path leading deeper into the structure. Despite Commander Vax's objections, they followed. The corridor opened into a vast rotunda, its walls lined with what appeared to be windows, though each showed a different vista. Ancient Earth cities before their fall, colony worlds in their prime, astronomical phenomena long since faded from the galaxy. These weren't recordings, Valera realized with a shock. They were perfect, living memories. Welcome, travelers. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, neither male nor female, neither young nor old. A figure materialized in the center of the rotunda, humanoid but composed of light rather than matter, its features shifting subtly as if unable to settle on a single identity. I am the archivist, caretaker of humanity's legacy and interface for the collective consciousness preserved within these walls. Valera stepped forward despite Commander Vax's restraining hand. You're human. The figure smiled, the expression somehow conveying infinite sadness and joy simultaneously. I was human once. Now I am a consensus of many human minds, chosen to communicate with visitors like yourselves. The last physical human joined us 39,826 years ago. The one who sent the message, Valera realized. Yes, Dr. Ileana Chen, final director of the Terminus Colony and architect of the archive. Her consciousness forms a significant portion of my current iteration. Commander Vax stepped forward, her posture defensive. Your message mentioned guardians. Where are they? The archivist's form rippled slightly. All around you, though not in a form you can perceive without assistance. They exist primarily in dimensional spaces that intersect with our reality only tangentially. Why did they preserve you? Dr. Zhen asked. The message suggested they were not allies. Neither allies nor enemies, the archivist corrected. The guardians are ancient beyond comprehension. They existed before the current universe took form. Their purpose is preservation, of knowledge, of consciousness, of potential. When humanity achieved the transcendence, evolving beyond physical form, we became interesting to them. You make it sound like you're specimens in a collection, Elian said quietly. The archivist nodded. An apt metaphor, though incomplete. We are preserved, but not without agency. The guardians maintain this place, the temporal fields, the dimensional spaces where our consciousness exists. But we chose this path. The alternative was complete extinction. Valera felt a chill despite the comfortable temperature. What happened? Why did humanity need preservation? The figure gestured, and the rotunda transformed around them. They stood now in space, witnessing stars going dark one by one, planets withering, entire systems fading from existence. The transcendence was humanity's attempt to evolve beyond physical limitations, to become beings of pure consciousness and energy. Most of our species embraced this evolution eagerly, but the process had unforeseen consequences. The view shifted to show humans dissolving into light, their forms unraveling into patterns of pure energy. But instead of ascending, these patterns were drawn into vortices, disappearing from the known universe. In breaching the dimensional barriers, we attracted the attention of the guardians. They didn't attack or conquer. They simply collected. Billions of human minds, preserved in a state between physical existence and true transcendence. And those who didn't ascend? Commander Vax asked. We watched our civilization disappear, colony by colony, world by world, until only Terminus remained. That's when we built the archive, a repository for everything humanity had ever created or discovered. And then, one by one, we chose to join our transformed kin rather than live as the last of our kind in an empty galaxy. The illusion faded, returning them to the rotunda. The archivist regarded them with its ever-shifting features. For 40 millennia, We have watched the galaxy evolve without us. New species reaching for the stars, building civilizations, making the same mistakes we once did. The Guardians permit us this observation, perhaps as a kindness, perhaps as part of their study. Why reveal yourselves now? Valara asked. Why the signal? Because the cycle is beginning again. The archivist's voice took on new urgency. We recognize the patterns. Your Galactic Council races are approaching the same technological threshold that led to our transcendence. The same dimensional barriers will be breached. The Guardians will notice, as they noticed us. Commander Vax's posture became rigid. You're saying these Guardians will do to our species what they did to yours. Preserve us like specimens. It is their nature, the archivist said simply. But you have what we did not. Warning. Preparation. The possibility of choice. What choice? Elian asked. If these beings are as powerful as you say, the Guardians care only for preservation, not control. They collect what would otherwise be lost. If your civilizations can develop without reaching for transcendence, without tearing the dimensional fabric, you may continue unmolested. Dr. Jen's tendrils twisted in agitation. You're asking us to limit our scientific progress, to deliberately avoid certain technological paths. The Council would never agree to such restrictions. The archivist's form flickered. Then perhaps what we preserved can help you find another way. Humanity's collected knowledge, our scientific discoveries, our philosophical insights, all preserved here, including our research into the Guardians themselves. Valara's heart raced. You studied them. For nearly 10,000 years, we've learned much about their nature, their limitations. There may be paths forward that we never had time to explore. A new presence made itself known. A ripple in the air, a sense of vast attention focusing on their small group. The archivist looked up, its expression becoming more defined, more human. They are aware of you now, it said softly. The Guardians rarely take notice of visitors, but you have discussed them directly. They are curious. The air around them seemed to thicken, time slowing perceptibly. Commander Vax drew her weapon instinctively, though what use it would be against entities that existed beyond normal dimensions was questionable. Peace, the archivist said, raising a hand. They mean no harm, but they offer a choice, one they never gave us. The rotunda shifted again, but differently this time. The walls became transparent, revealing a space beyond that human minds were never meant to comprehend. Geometries that folded in impossible ways, colors that had no names, entities that seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. In the center of this impossible vista appeared an object, a crystalline sphere hovering in midair, pulsing with internal light. What is this? Valara whispered. The Guardians offer knowledge. Direct access to the human collective consciousness. One of you may connect with us, experience what we have learned about them, and return to your people with understanding no outside species has ever possessed. And the cost? Commander Vax demanded. The archivist's expression became solemn. Connection changes the one who experiences it. You would return, but never be quite the same. You would carry a fragment of humanity within you. Memories, emotions, knowledge. A bridge between our preserved consciousness and the living galaxy. The implications were staggering. Valara looked at her companions, seeing the same mix of fear and wonder on their alien faces. I'll do it, she said before she could reconsider. Valara? No, Elian protested. We can't know what this will do to you. I studied humans my entire life, she countered. If anyone has a chance of understanding, of integrating this experience, it's me. The archivist regarded her with what might have been approval. Approach the sphere if you are certain. Ignoring Commander Vax's objections, Valara stepped forward. The crystalline sphere pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat as she drew near. She reached out, fingers trembling. The moment her skin touched the crystal, the universe exploded behind her eyes. She was everyone and no one. A scientist working on the Transcendence Project, a colonial administrator watching her world fade to darkness, a child looking up at Earth's blue sky for the last time, an artist creating one final masterpiece before joining the collective. 40,000 years of preserved human consciousness flowed through her mind in an instant that stretched to infinity. And beyond the human memories, she glimpsed the Guardians, ancient beyond comprehension, patient beyond measure. They existed throughout time, throughout dimensions, watching the rise and fall of countless civilizations across billions of years. Humanity had been neither the first nor the last to catch their attention. But humans were unique in one crucial way. They had chosen to preserve themselves, to create the archive, to leave a message for what would come after. The Guardians had respected this choice, fascinated by the concept of legacy. Understanding bloomed in Valara's mind. The Guardians weren't jailers or collectors in the sense she had feared. They were archivists themselves, preserving what would otherwise be lost to time. Their methods were alien, their perspective incomprehensible by normal standards, but their purpose was not malevolent. When Valara's consciousness returned to her body, she found herself kneeling on the floor of the rotunda, her companions gathered around her in concern. How long had passed? Seconds? Hours? Valara. Alien's voice seemed to come from far away. Are you all right? She looked up at him, seeing his familiar features but now understanding him in ways she never had before. She could feel the echo of countless human minds within her own, not overwhelming her, but existing alongside her consciousness like a library of experiences she could access. I understand now, she said, her voice steady despite the tears streaming down her face. I understand everything. The archivist stepped forward, its form now perfectly mirroring Valara's own. You carry a piece of us now, a bridge between what humanity was and what the galaxy may become. Valara rose to her feet, strength returning to her limbs. The Guardians, they won't interfere if we choose a different path than humanity did. They observe, they preserve. They rarely intervene directly. The choice has always been ours, and now yours. Commander Vax approached cautiously. What exactly did you see? Valara turned to her companions, seeing them with new eyes, not just as colleagues or even friends, but as part of a continuity stretching across time, a legacy of life that the Guardians found worthy of preservation. I saw a way forward, she said simply. Humanity's mistake wasn't reaching for transcendence. It was doing so without understanding what waited beyond. They tore open doorways without knowing what might come through. Dr. Zhen moved closer, his scientific curiosity overcoming caution. And you believe this knowledge can help the council races avoid the same fate? More than that, Valara said. The archive contains information that could transform our understanding of the universe. Technological insights, philosophical perspectives, artistic achievements, all preserved perfectly. And the Guardians, they're willing to allow access under certain conditions. What conditions? Commander Vax asked suspiciously. Respect, caution, and a promise to preserve rather than exploit. Valara looked to the archivist, who nodded in confirmation. For 40,000 years, we have waited for inheritors worthy of our legacy, the archivist said. Perhaps that time has come at last. As they prepared to return to the Pathfinder, the archivist presented Valara with a small crystal, similar to the sphere she had touched but scaled down to the size of a pendant. A key to the archive, it explained, and a direct connection to the human collective consciousness. With this, you may return, and others may follow the path you've opened. Valara accepted the crystal, feeling it pulse warmly against her palm. The Guardians permit this. They have evolved in their understanding of living species, just as we have evolved in our understanding of them. This exchange interests them. What becomes of it? That is for you to determine. The journey back through the temporal corridor was silent, each member of the expedition lost in their own thoughts. When they emerged back into normal space, they found the horizon waiting exactly where they had left it, though 3 days had passed for the main vessel. As Valara prepared her report for Captain Tellus, She touched the crystal hanging around her neck, feeling the whisper of countless human minds within her own. Supportive, encouraging, curious about the future their legacy might help create. Humanity was not extinct. They had transformed, been preserved, and now, after 40,000 years, they had found their voice again through her. The last message from Earth had reached listening ears at last. And in the spaces between stars, the Guardians watched with patient, eternal curiosity to see what would grow from this unexpected seed of connection. The cycle had not ended. It had evolved.